Hello, everyone. Right, what is War Plan Purple? Right, politics run downstream from culture, and we are the culture war division of UKIP. The War Plan Purple and UKIP Liberalists originates from the global cultural movement, the Liberalist movement, and which is first conceptualized by Carl Benjamin, also known as Sargon of Akkad. He's on his way here because his wife let him overslept a little bit. He will also be, yeah, I just got a text. He will be speaking at 3:40, so it's no problem. So basically, we are classical liberals. So if a feminist is an activist for feminism, and if an Islamist is an activist for Islam, then that stands to reason that a classical liberal activist would be a liberalist. So that's how the name is coined. So in recent years, we saw the degradation of Western societies to go towards postmodernist neo-Marxism and its derivative ideologies. We are forsaking individual rights into collectivist identity rights. We have gone from blind justice to social justice, as well as we've gone from secularism to religious favoritism. So following Count Dankler's conviction under Section 127 of Communications Act 2003, hello, we decided we can no longer sit idle. So we reviewed all the major parties in the UK to decide to participate in the democratic process. So we looked at, well, obviously Labour. I don't think we need to say much about Labour, which they are identitarians and they are for social justice. And they are for collectivist rights, and they are completely against our individualism. And then we've got the Conservative Party, which are only conservative in name. I don't know what they're conserving, neo-Marxism maybe. Economically, they're less like Labour, but socially, they're exactly the same. They've got gender quotas, affirmative action, and hate speech laws, which, we don't even want to go in there yet. So we are a cultural movement, and we saw that, and then we read into the manifesto from 2017 of UKIP, and we recognized that it's mostly correlated with our principles, which we'll go into later. And since the founding of the movement, the original movement, the international one, since January, we have approximately 5,000 members, and we have about 9,000 likes on Facebook, which is reasonable for about a 10-month-old movement. And the UKIP Liberalists, and the UKIP Liberalists has about 4,000 odd likes and about 1,700 members. So we are the recent group of people from social media, or you could say the younger generation that are meme savvy, that has joined UKIP in the recent months. So the Liberalist principles, hopefully I don't butcher this too much, individual rights. So everyone keeps on going on about minority rights and marginalized groups, but what they failed to recognize is the smallest minority is the individual. And Western society has figured that out long ago through Enlightenment, and we are forsaking that. And the most prosperous and most free societies around the world are those that value the sovereignty of the individual. And we hope to use our movement to steer the UK back towards individual rights. Thank you. And the government's purpose is to protect the rights of individuals and not to control every social aspect of society as they're doing now. So our next principle is democracy. We believe constitutional democracy is the best way for the free citizenry to maintain a state and to resist tyranny. And every single one of us are here because we are freely participating in democracy. Not only that, I see each and every one of us here as activists because we've taken time out of our schedule, we've traveled here, we pay for expenses for travel, expenses for accommodation to be here because we decided that we must do something to ensure the democratic process of society is what upheld. Okay, so our next principle is economic freedom. One of the things that the Western society has figured out long ago is that the freer the trade, the more prosperous that society becomes. And that is pretty much universal. But obviously, there are people that will argue socialism is best, and it has never been tried, while simultaneously being the best. But however, you can see perfect examples of certain places that has constitutional free trade, such as Hong Kong, where I'm from, and Singapore, which are surrounded by socialist and communist nations. And yet, surrounded by all those socialist dystopia, they stand upright and the most prosperous cities around the world. And one of the things that the left has got right is about inequality. So you have to give credit where credit is due. But the thing that they've got wrong about inequality is the natural consequence of productivity. Because people are different and we have different rates of productivity. So by definition, we're competing in society, then we'll naturally generate inequality. So we can't be free and be equal at the same time. If we are to be free, we can't be equal. And if we're equal, we're not free. And I'm quickly going to mention, it's called Price's Law, which governs the productivity in any creative domain. So basically what it says is, in any creative domain, the square root of the number of people in it produce 50% of the work. So you can figure that out already. It's impossible to have an equality of outcome in any given creative domain. So what we want is equality of opportunity and not equality of outcome. Okay. Right, the next principle is self-reliant. So increasingly, in recent years, people are seeking larger government to solve all their problems. And UKIP is fundamentally a libertarian party, which believes in personal responsibility and personal accountability. So what the problem is that the people that advocate for government to solve everything, such as going for, what was it? We are advocating for taxation for red meat. We have the sugar tax, and we can't rely on the government to solve everything because we must look within ourselves. Because we got rights and responsibilities which must balance each other. If you only have rights and no responsibility, you are a child. And that explains why all the students are always out there screaming like a child, because they are children, because they have never taken any responsibility. And in contrast, if you only have responsibility and you have no rights, then you're a slave. So in a society, we should balance rights with responsibility, and we should offer young people the opportunity to adopt responsibility to the maximum of their capability so that they can find meaning in life. There's an ancient Chinese proverb which is 修身齊家治國平天下, which roughly translates to put yourself in order, put your family in order, put your country in order, and then put the world in order. Okay, so the next principle is freedom of speech. I remember when I was growing up, I used to hear a lot of the times people say, it's a free country. A lot of you might be too young to hear that, but I don't hear that anymore. Do any of you hear that now? We don't live in a free country anymore. We've got hate speech laws. We've got hate speech laws, which is effectively modern-day heresy. And we've got the fictitious label Islamophobia, which is essentially modern-day blasphemy. And we recently just had, the EU, the European Court of Human Rights, upholding a conviction of a woman who said Mohammed is a paedophile. So essentially, in the EU, we are upholding 14th century blasphemy laws. We don't have freedom of speech at the moment. Approximately 9 people a day in this country are arrested under Section 127 of Communications Act 2003. And the conviction rate since the conceptualization of the legislation has risen from approximately 60% to exceeding 80%. And that's much higher conviction rate of most other crimes. Most other crimes is about 40% conviction rate. But this crime, you're not judged by your peers, and the discretion of the judge to class you as whether or not you're grossly offensive. And it's extremely dangerous to have a subjective basis in legality of what constitutes is and isn't grossly offensive. And as a free speech almost absolutist, I believe that you should have the right to offend. So the remedy to bad speech, in my opinion, or in our opinion, is counter good speech. Because when you censor your opponent, you're only proving to the world that you're afraid of what they have to say, and also you are depriving the world. You're not only just depriving their freedom of speech, you're depriving everyone else freedom to hear what they have to say, to make the judgment themselves. And you are actually saying that people are too stupid to know what is good for them. And that is what is happening right now in this nanny state that we have. Right, secularism. Right, we believe in the freedom for anyone to practice their religion so long as it does not infringe on the rights of anyone else. Okay, but in recent years, that is divulged into religious protectionism. Like, I can crack a joke about Christians or about Catholics, and no one will bat an eyelid. But if we talk about Islam, oh no, you're Islamophobic. It's a disparity and an uneven distribution of the law and unevenly applied. And that is a problem that we must address. I believe the right to blaspheme. We should be the right to say anything, criticize anything, so long as we are not directly advocating for incitement of crime. So that should be the bar. And also, just in last night, we got Aisha Bibi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Aisha Bibi, which is seeking for asylum, and the UK has rejected her asylum application on the basis that it might cause certain communities to, pardon? Yeah, it was a security risk. So what is it? So we're actually implementing in a higher level of blasphemy law by proxy. And we are actually submitting to Islam and submitting to heckler's veto on a much larger scale. We can't do that. What will we do then? Alternatively, say if the Labour Party is to hold a conference, should we do the same and advocate for a violent protest and then get them deplatformed? No. So if we play tit for tat, then nobody gets to speak, and that's the way that we're going. So I don't understand why we go into the country that we're actually rejecting asylum application because the people that she's running from might feel a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, so blind justice. I believe everyone should be equal under the law. I believe that I should be treated for the contents of my character and judged for my own actions and not judged by the sum of my identities. And when we have, at the moment, again going back to Islam, is we have, the police are afraid to prosecute people based on they don't want to be seen as being racist. And that has to change. We have to restore blind justice because hate speech laws and hate crime piggybacks identity politics into the existing criminal justice system. So if two people, one person commits a crime against another, I don't care what race or what identity either of them are. The only thing I care is what is the harm done, what is the damages done, and what is the severity of the intended consequences. It shouldn't be suddenly a worse crime if two identical crimes are committed, but one is racially motivated or under any other protected classes. I don't believe in protected classes. I believe in protecting the sovereignty of the individual. And that's why we need to restore blind justice and stay away from social justice. So that is the 7 principles that I'm going to go through, and thank you for having me. If you want to do your part and adopt responsibilities and enlist, we have a stool right there at the back. So thank you very much. Oh.